Hello, friends. This is Dr. K. Bhavani Shankar, and we are dealing with paper 5, Women and Politics. Today, we will discuss the first unit, Power, Politics, and Struggle for Power. So, in this lesson, my dear friends, we are going to study the concept of power and politics. We'll try to understand the relation between power and politics, and we also try to study about various struggles taken by women in order to assess or achieve the access to power. First, whenever we talk about politics, my dear friends, the politics is analyzed by power. It has been assumed that there are power relations between significant units of political system. The analysis of power can be applied to any level of political system of any state or a nation or a period of time. In order to study the political setup of any society, we need to examine the power structure of that political system. Power is closely associated with politics, my dear friends. According to Harold in his book Politics, Who Gets What, When, and How, tried to discuss who possesses political power. Power is a key concept, and he tried to argue that politics is the resolution of conflict. He said that politics is the resolution of conflict, then it is distribution of power within a community that determine how the conflict is to be resolved and whether the resolutions is to be effectively observed by all the political parties or not. So it first one, if there is any problem, my dear friends, in order to resolve these conflicts, my dear friends, politics or power is going to play a wider role. So once you come into power, how well you're going to distribute, whether you're going to decentralize the power or you're going to concentrate the power at one place is going to be studied. Based on which we are going to follow the resolutions by the political parties, or else people may simply move against the resolutions made by the political parties, my dear friends. Politics refers to the funding of a whole array of political institutions and forces which are involved in molding the lives of the people. So, the main duty of the politics is to mold, the shape up the life of the people, my dear friends. How they are going to shape up the life of the people, guys? By making decisions and designing the policies which are going to be useful for the nation, nothing but the people, my dear friends. If you see, right now we are talking about Make in India program. So there was a debate from the other political parties saying that whether it's made in India, it's okay, but whether it's made for India or for whom, whether it's for the outsiders or for the people who are there in India. So our duty is to make the policies, ensure that the public institutions which are there are going to work rigorously so that all together they are going to make the decisions and design the policies in such a way that it's going to help the people to develop or transform their lives. For example, in India, we have Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act or scheme. The main intention of this program is to provide minimum 100 days employment for the unskilled or semi-skilled people, my dear friends. Do you know what made the government to launch this program or this policy? Because of two reasons. First one is that most of the young people who are not finding job in the agriculture sector, because agriculture cannot provide employment for 365 days. It can provide maximum of 8 to 9 months only. So during that 3 months time, because they are idle, some of the young people are migrating to the nearby towns or cities in search of employment opportunities, in terms of employment opportunity. So there is a burden on the cities because it has to provide accommodation for the people, because these people are poor. They cannot stay in a good localities. They cannot take a house on rent. They'll be staying on the streets. They will be creating problem for themselves and for the society too. So there is a huge burden on the nearby towns or cities. At the same time, the people who are unskilled or semi-skilled, or the people who are old enough who could not wish to migrate, my dear friends, they are dying out of hunger or malnutrition. So, in order to keep a check for both these issues, in order to reduce the burden on the cities, at the same time, in order to take care of the people who are unskilled, semi-skilled, and old age, the government has launched this scheme. and they're going to provide a decent income so that they can satisfy their basic requirements. So politics, their main duty is to design the policies and ensure that all the public institutions are going to be funded effectively so that they make decisions for the people and they design the policies for the welfare of the people. In a way, it concerns itself with the availability of exercise of rights and liberties, freedom and justice by the citizens. So it ensures that each and every person has the right to speak, have the right to question, have the freedom, also have the justice for all the citizens, both individually as well as a group, my dear friends. In turn, it will be dependent on the ordering of the society and its polity in terms of equality, hierarchy, the nature of power relations, and the quantum of power pressure possessed by the individuals, and so on. So, based on the politics, my dear friends, the people may have the liberty, they may have the rights, they may enjoy the freedom and justice, my dear friends. And if the politics do not allow, if the power do not allow them, then obviously they will be suppressed of this four, my dear friends. If you see in China, my dear friends, we are going to have a monarchy form of government followed by socialists. They say they are socialists, but do you know, no one has the right to speak publicly against the nation or against the leaders. If anybody does that, my dear friends, you must have seen what is happening. When we have this corona, how many people have been put to death? There is no official data released by the government. And if anybody talks, they may also be punished, or else they may uh, build up pressure on those individuals. So it depends on the politics whether they enjoy the liberty, whether they enjoy the freedom, and whether they enjoy the justice, my dear friends. So it depends on the politics whether they have the freedom, whether they have the state which is going to allow the people to enjoy the power of politics. Politics is an exercise in power and a participation in politics, which should lead a meaningful process that lead to a making of policies and decisions, and which can also be effectively controlled. So we are talking about it is a politic meaningful process of making the policies and decisions and also having effective control. For example, you have designed the policies, you have made a decision, but if you're not in a position to implement that effectively, if you're not in a position to transform the policy as per the requirement, then there is no meaning. So politics talks about exercise of power and participation in politics, which is going to have a process of making or designing the policies, making decisions, and having an effective control, my dear friends. Now, let us see some of the definitions of politics. The system of politics is as old as the society itself. Politics came into existence when man began to speculate and frame the rules of conduct for the members of the society. When people wants to settle at one place, when people wants to cooperate with each other, when people wants to prosper in life without quarreling with each other, so they thought that we need to have some set of rules and regulations which are going to conduct, which are going to regulate the behavior of the individuals. So once these regulations came, my dear friends, at the time itself the existence of politics came into existence. The term politics was first used by Aristotle, and he treated it as a way of life or organized system of behavior operative in a political community, which at once produced the disposition by its government, laws, and education, and give place and scope to its energy by providing a wide circle of persons engaged in mutual relations where it can be exercised. So, according to Aristotle, he said that it is nothing but a way of life or an organized system of behavior. First one. That means all the people who are there in that particular geographical area, my dear friends, they are going to abide to the set of rules and regulations and they are going to follow it so that we are going to have similar lifestyle. Second one, it is operative in a political community. That means you're going to have a specific geographical area which is political. For example, can I implement our set of policies in our neighboring country, Pakistan, Bangladesh, or even in America? No. the central government is going to define the policies for nation, whereas the Telangana government is going to define the policies for Telangana only. It may be adopted by the other nations. They have to adopt it. They have to put in their assembly or parliament, and they have to get approval. Then only. So we are going to have a operative within a political community, and once it is produced, okay, by the government or laws and education, it gives the scope to its energy to provide a wide circle of persons engaged in mutual relations. Then the Greeks were among the first people to study politics systematically. They used the word politics to describe the totality of state phenomena. The totality of state phenomena. And the word polis to mean a self-supporting community organized to govern itself. That means politics has been derived from the word polis, which means self-supporting community which is organized to govern itself. That means some of the people are going to rule the state for the betterment of the people, for uplifting the conditions, and so on. So it is also very interesting for the Greeks. Participation in the life of the polis was a means of self-realization. Therefore, they called a man who took no intelligent part in the politics an idiot. So each and every person should take part in politics. That means they are going to elect the representative. If any person is not going to elect the representative, my dear friends, then obviously what happens? The right person or the suitable person may not come into power, and the suitable person may not design the policies for the betterment of the society. So they said that Greeks have opined that if any person is not taking part in politics, he is an idiot. Politics means listening to various groups. Politics means listening to various groups so that we can address the conflicts which are taking place between two individuals or two communities or two societies at large, my dear friends. So our duty is to create a sense of security and participation among the members of society. If the people are not going to come, if they are not going to speak, then the government will not be able to understand what are their problems. And if they are not in a position to understand their problems, they will not be able to take resolutions or policies for addressing these issues, my dear friends. So our duty is to create a sense of security and a sense of participation among the members of society. Also, politics implies diversity and democracy. Diversity and democracy. Because see, if we see in India, we have 28 states plus UTs. Altogether, if we see all states, they have their own dialect, they have their own language, the culture varies. In spite of we are there in the one nation, my dear friends, remember, there is a lot of diversity in India. So if all the diverse people have to come together, we require unity among the individuals. And this democratic form of government is going to allow the people to come for discussions, debate on the issues, take part in politics, and also come into power, my dear friends. They also have the freedom to elect the representative of their choice. So the main duty of politics is to take care of the diversified groups and ensure that there is democracy so that people discuss, debate for some or the other purpose. The purpose may be for the scheme, or if there are plenty of schemes, what must be the priority of implementing the schemes, okay, or whether there are any rivalry within the communities, whether what are the resources, how to utilize the resources properly, or what kind of resources are very very scarce or limited. How to all this will be um, um, useful in making the decisions for the upliftment of the nation and the individuals. Now let us discuss about power, because politics uh, shows that there is some sort of power. Power is defined entirely in terms of the kind of capacity which produce these effects. David Easter, in his book Political System, has defined power as the relationship in which one person or a group is able to determine the actions of another in the direction of the former's own ends. For example, if an individual is going to exercise his power in such a way that he is going to convince the other person or mold the person in the direction of my desires, my dear friends. It may be an individual or a group of people. Power implies a relationship. It is something one can use against somebody else. It can be used by someone against somebody else. Okay. It is invariably used to produce certain effects which we desire, my dear friends. According to Russell, power is the prediction of intended effects. Power is the prediction of intended effects. This does not mean, or it is not bad, my dear friends, because in order to realize certain goals, in order to have specific certain goals or certain ambitions, like we may exercise our power on the other people. For example, mm, for example, China was trying to enter into Indian territory, and they were trying to grab our land. So at the time, the government of India has given free power to the military so that they can take the decisions on their own on the spot there itself without waiting for the order from the superiors, my dear friends. So it is a prediction of intended effects. They want to say that if you are going to use weapon, we use the same. Like they started using tit for tat, my dear friends, so that they can create fear among the opposition military also, my dear friends. So it is not bad, my dear friends, when you want to realize the fact that power may not always produce the intended effects, but also unintended effects, my dear friends. The range of power has reference to the number of persons the power wielder can influence. The range of power is nothing but how many people can we influence. Okay. And lastly, power relations do not follow the zero sum game. That means it is to say an increase in one's man's power does not necessarily mean that there is a decrease in somebody else's power, my dear friends. Today, we have these parliament elections. Narendra Modi has said, "Up ki bar 400 bar." But do you know what happened in reality? He did not even touch 300. Now, right now, it is going on. He did not touch 300. But if you see the earlier, like Rahul Gandhi, at the time UPA government, later on they have changed the name to India, and so on, my dear friends. Even at that time, he had the role of a opposition leader, my dear friends. His power was not ceased. Even if one person is going to come into power, it does not mean that the others or the other people's power will be decreased, my dear friends. Okay. Power is defined as the capacity to influence the decisions of others, group, as well as the individuals. There are several sources of power. Power is derived from the economic, political, and social status of an individual or a group. There are several sources of power. Here, the power can come through economic factors or political factors or social factors. If you see, America is number one. They are economically powerful. Because they are economically powerful, they have also become politically powerful. Do you know the whole world is accepting American dollar in terms of trade and commerce? If I want to purchase a crude oil from Iran, I'm not going to pay in their currency, and they're not going to accept even our currency. Iran accepts only American dollar. So after a few days, do you know, when Narendra Modi was in power, like at the time, he went to Iran and he tried to convince the people, saying that you accept our Indian rupee so that both of us can get benefit out of it. At the same time, when we have purchased the crude oil from Russia, when the war between Russia and Ukraine broke up, Russia offered us crude oil on cheaper prices. At the time, we have put on a condition to Russia saying that we will purchase crude oil from you on one condition, that is, you accept Indian rupee, my dear friends. Because if I'm going to purchase American dollar, I'm going to pay the tax to government of America. At the same time, when Russians or Iranians or the other people with whom we have done trade, they also, in order to convert that currency into their currency, they are going to pay the taxes for the government of America. For doing nothing, my dear friends, America is getting benefited twice. So a person who is going to have more exports compared with imports, my dear friends, those people may become more economically powerful and they can dictate the terms. And even whatever America says, United States of America says, the World Bank, even the United Nations are also influenced by them. Remember that. Second one is the political power, and the third one is social status. It may be of an individual or a group, my dear friends. Then the political power makes important policy decisions through popularly elected bodies at various levels. These policy decisions are in a democratical setup expected to reflect the will and the wish of the people. Sometimes people may come forward and they may take up the agitations or movements at the time based on the pressure built up by these unions. The government may design the policies or else revamp the policies, my dear friends. In the previous rule made by the NDA, the government has made three form laws. They have brought up three form laws. Even these three form laws have been approved both in the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, my dear friends, and they have brought it. But the people were not happy with the policies. So the farmers from Punjab, Haryana, they have gone to Delhi's outskirts and they have simply locked this entire city. And they were on the streets for almost 1.5 years. And then the government, looking at the will and wish of the people, looking at the movement of these people, the government was forced to repeal the three form laws, my dear friends. Sometimes they are going to make the decisions on any policy, or they are going to bring out new policies or revamp the policies based on the people's will, my dear friends, or the people's acceptance. In short, the movements of the oppressed are crucial in forcing the so called popular state bodies to make policy decisions, my dear friends, which will further improve the interests of the people. If we see in our Telangana state, Mandakrishna Madiga, he is talking about bifurcation in terms of reservation even among scheduled caste. They are saying that only the Mala community people are being benefited by the reservation, whereas the other community is not in a position because they are economically, socially, all the way they are deprived. And when we have these state assembly elections, at that time, the then Prime Minister of India has made a promise saying that he is going to appoint a committee to discuss on this issue because it's a long pending movement or a long pending issue, my dear friends. So, based on the people's movements, my dear friends, the government is going to listen to them, understand them, and based on that, there are also chances that they may also design the policies if required, my dear friends. Now, let us study about power politics as a struggle for power. Let us study the relation between power and politics. Power as a concept is disparaged, particularly in a country like India, where it is mistakenly identified with struggle for exercise of authority, greed and conflicts, unholy competition, and display of physical might bring out the worst qualities in a human being. In India, we are saying that we are going to have a struggle between the people for exercising the authority, people for greed, because coming to power, they are going to have the authority to exercise on the people, make the policies which are going to benefit them, and so on, my dear friends. And people, in order to come into power, they are using unhealthy situations, my dear friends. They are simply bribing the people, or else they are threatening the people, or they are using anything in order to come into power. That is what is being taught in the context of India, my dear friends. More in the case of women who have been socialized to believe that it's only a male game, a dirty field, and it also has a debasing of feminine feature in the politics, my dear friends. We have also seen in some areas in the country saying that girls are confined only to the household activities. It is only a male's activity. Also, and so, my dear friends, all these things are coming into the in the system. Without cooperation and collectivity, remember that without cooperation and collectivity of women power, we cannot influence or transform the society at large. The concept of power in social and political theory is a development of that which can be used in our day-to-day life. Remember that power is readily intangible notion which can be which can be used without difficulty in our day to day lives. Looks, a political theorist, has most incisively and influentially argued that the choice between different concepts of power is incalculable, a moral and evaluative one. The concept of power should be evaluative and moral one. In his view, while analyzing the way that power affects political decision making, he has used three dimensions of political power, three ways in which it may be used to influence the decision making process. First one, first first one is power may be exercised to ensure that one set of interests prevails over another, and that a consistency political decision is made in the way in which more powerful party prefers. That is the first one. So we are going to have multiple decisions, my dear friends, but whoever is going to be in power, my dear friends, or political power, they are going to make. For example, let us take the example of Maharashtra in the previous elections, that to state politics, not at the central level. Actually, when they have gone for contesting at the time, both the BJP and Shiva Sena were good friends. And later on, what happened? Shiva Sena party, they want their political representative to be the chief minister, and the BJP at any cost they doesn't want. They want to be in power. But at the time, do you know what happened? The Shiva Sena party was not happy with the decision made by the BJP because they are having more MLAs, and without their MLAs, BJP cannot form the government. So at the time, Sharad Pawar, NCP, and with the help of Congress, Shiva Sena political leader has become the CM of Maharashtra. Later on, what they have done, the people who are more powerful, maybe politically, economically, or in philosophically, or any way, my dear friends, the Shiva Sena party has been split into two. And one part promised that the people have broken or separated from the original party, that a political leader is going to come, or is going to become the chief minister of Maharashtra, and the same thing has been done. So first, Shiv Sena had more number. They thought that they can play the cards, but later on, you can see that it has been split because of I don't know whether it's a philosophical one or the political or something like. They could not able to form the government, and later on, what happened? Okay. Sorry, guys, there is some technical issue. Okay. Let us discuss the second power dimension. It not only affects the immediate process of decision making, but behind the scenes, activities like agenda setting, and it may also involve not just visible action, but also failures to act, which failures may prove to be just as significant is their consequence. So here it is going to affect. So when you're going to design a policy, my dear friends, at the time we are going to have an agenda, and we are going to set up certain goals, my dear friends. Based on these policies, we are going to take up the vision. For example, um, if we see the BJP government, or the BJP as a political party, they started spreading their hands mostly in the tribal areas. So you can see that they are getting more people elected from the tribal communities, and they're also making a lot of policies so that they can also come into power in these areas. Besides benefiting the people, my dear friends, so we are going to have both the effects, not only on the decision making, but also on the activities like agenda setting and so on, my dear friends. And the third one is power may be means of shaping the perception and cognition of others, so that what they consider to be in their interest is radically transferred through the dimension of power. Its processor may secure their interest not by winning a contest or even by avoiding a context also. So we are not only going to say that we are going to influence the people and we are going to context in politics and we are going to come into power, but sometimes they may also avoid so that unanimously the person may also become into power. It may be the transforming of consciousness of their political opponents and weakening their grasp upon the nature of the real interest so that no contest threatens. So we are going to put on the pressure of politically weaken the opponent so that these people may come into power. According to Mayo, there are three distinct ideas which are binding in terms of decisions relating to the government and arising from disputes. He has talked about three distinct ideas. The first one is politics is related to the governing functions, which implies not only a study of institutions but also has reference to policy making. So we are not only going to study about the functioning of the political institutions or the institutions, my dear friends, it is also concerned with policy making. The second one is that politics is concerned with decisions or policies that are binding to all the members who are there in the society, or at least for the majority of them. And third one is political policies emerge from conflict, a dispute, whether openly conducted as they generally or in a free society, or suppressed and driven underground as in despotic region. So here we are going to have political conflicts, my dear friends. Our duty is to address all these disputes, sometimes maybe using the power or in a free society. When the state wants to remove this or repeal this Article 370 and 35A, at the time some sections of people in Jammu and Kashmir were not, whereas certain people were neutral, my dear friends. At the time, the state government has used a different mechanism to control the people or control the human behavior while they were repealing this Article 370 and 35A, which use special provisions to the state of Jammu and Kashmir, my dear friends. So these are the three ideas. Whenever we are going to govern or whenever we are talking about decision making, these are the three ideas, my dear friends, according to Henry Mayo. A political scientist will pursue political processes as an educative opportunity, a process of legitimization of power, and a therapeutic exercise. It is nothing but an institutional device to ensure that the nature of political authority remains popular and the control as the misuse of power remains operative. Let us discuss about the educational status of women because we are talking about women in politics. So we also discuss why women are not that powerful, why they are not taking actively part in the politics. For that, the first thing is that we require socialization, and educational institutions are the major institutions of socialization. Um, if we see women in the Indian society uh, or in the traditional society are not in a position to exercise the power. They, are, they do not have much rights to be enjoyed, my dear friends. So the groups can be classified into different sections in terms of economical one from lower to higher, depending upon their social, economical distinctions, and so on. If we see in the Vedic period, the girls were generally unwelcomed as compared to boys. There was a marked preference for son as he was a permanent economic asset of the family. To impart education to children and to help them in setting in life are the two main duties of the parents, because if the son is well established, well educated, and if he has a decent income, so he will be able to take care of the parents when they grow older. And according to the Hindu philosophy, my dear friends, if a person is put to death, the doors of the heaven will be opened if the male child does the cremation activity or does the cremation or disposes the dead body. Even the person has done the right deeds doesn't matter. Only the male child this has to dispose the body, which makes the or allows the person to rest in heaven. That was the concept. So for economical aspects, for social aspects, or for the belief system, and so on, my dear friends, there was given highest importance for the boys than the girl child, my dear friends. Down to the 3rd century BC, girls can remain unmarried till the age of 16, till about the beginning of the Christian era. Upanayana, or the ceremonial initiation into the Vedic studies, was as common in the case of boys. It may be adoption of discipline or specialization in Vedic theology and philosophy. The Atharva Veda observes that a maiden can succeed in her marriage if she has been properly trained during her stewardship. That women are ineligible for Vedic studies in the view of later age. In the prehistoric times, my dear friends, education was mean developing a new tool and learning the techniques for its utility. That education was concerned with men as well as women too. The degree of freedom given to a woman to move about in a society and to take part in the public life gives a good idea of the nature of its administration and enables us to know how far it has been realized, the difficulty through that women to have a contribution in their own development or in the development or prosperity of the nation, my dear friends. With the development of agriculture, means of production, modes of production, men gradually monopolized techniques and women were isolated from social and educational fields. State was developed as an institution. Brahmins and Kshatriyas were encouraged to enjoy the fruits of education by state in order to regulate and control the rest of the population who are there. And even though in the ashrama system, teachers and or the teaching was during a limited period of time, it was a continuous learning test of talents which was turned which was given an opportunity only to the elite people, turning into an elite education, acquiring all the skills through experience and learning, improving it by training. Agriculture and other productive education related to life was not considered education at all, my dear friends. Intellectual exercise received momentum in the place of physical labor. Hence, Brahmins and Kshatriyas has acquired control over education. As a result, Vaishyas as well as Shudras and the majority of the others did not have access to education at all, my dear friends. Forget about women, even the men did not get the opportunity to be educated. Only some girls who entered into dancing and who entered into politician, only these people had the opportunity to read and write because they have to um, uh, go and work with the people of the elite, my dear friends. Aryans, they did not allow women to use weapons as they looked down upon them. Therefore, education pertaining to arm and archery was only within the reach of women and not women, my dear friends. In the Rig Veda, during the period, there was as many as 20 women scholars who were considered as seeds or authors of Rig Veda, uh, such as Vishwavara, Gosha, and so on. But this does not mean that all women had access to education. Women's students were divided into two classes, my dear friends. One is Brahma Vadinis and Sajja Vahas. The formers were lifelong students of theology and philosophy, and the latter were used to be to prosecute their studies till their marriage, my dear friends, till they attain the age of 15 or 16 years. So only few sections of people have enjoyed um, their exercise to power, authority, and so on. Whereas the people who belong to the lower communities, they have no opportunity at all, my dear friends. The admission of women to the Buddhist order gave a great input to the case of female education. When we have this Buddhism, at the time they have encouraged education system. They have also translated the books into regional languages so that each and every section of people can have the education, so that they gain the knowledge, they know what is the reality, so that uh, they also can get rid of the social issues or problems, my dear friends. And they also helped all the people to go for Upanayana, and they have brought a simple religion which can also be practiced by all sections of people, my dear friends. Let us see about political status of women. In terms of political status of women, my dear friends, we find two parallel streaks. On one hand, we find the political conditions of women was simply quite backward, and on the other hand, we see the compulsion of dynamic rule. We find many examples of women administering kingdoms in various capacities and exercising immense political authority under special circumstances, my dear friends. If we see in Ramayana, at one place, a proposal is made to offer the crown to Sita when Rama was banished. But it could not materialize because Sita's determination to accompany her husband when Rama has gone for into the forest for one was for 14 years. At the time, Sita said that I want to accompany my husband. I don't want to sit on the chair, my dear friends. And she went along with the husband. And then when it came to the Lakshmana, he also said that I want to be with my brother. So obviously, you must have seen that Bharata has exercised like. So we must have seen a lot of people exercising the power at different conditions, my dear friends. In a Jataka story, we find a king of Varanasi renouncing the world and his queen assuming the reins of administration at the request of the subjects. During the capacity of King Udayana of Kausambi, his mother took full charge of the administration. So we can see that during the Shatavana period, even in Kakatiya dynasty, like we have seen a lot of women who came into power during certain situations, my dear friends. Okay, then we'll go for women of political advisors and their role in judicial matters. Ancient Indian lawgivers did not suggest the appointment of women as advisors to king or the members of king council. Of the 18 executive officers of the king or crown mentioned by Shukra, not even one is suggested to be a woman. It was thought that women tend to divulge secrets of the state and are incapable of offering any sound advice in complex matters of the government. Kautilya also did not recommend that women should be entrusted with the duties of the state, my dear friends. Now let us discuss about the concept of women's empowerment. Empowerment is the process which encompasses several mutually reinforcing components. A critical component to achieving economical independence is access to and control over productive resources. Component of empowerment is knowledge and awareness of oneself and society and of personal needs, health issues, legal rights, technological innovations, and the availability of social and economical resources and how to take advantage of them. The third component is self image. This includes realization of one's capabilities and the potential and confidence to take some action in their own life. Both economical independence and knowledge creates a positive self-image, but confidence in one's own self can also facilitate the acquisition of further knowledge and action towards attaining greater economical independence. The final component is autonomy. We're talking about four components, my dear friends. The first component is economical independence. Second one is empowerment of knowledge, or empowerment is knowledge and awareness of oneself. It may be in terms of personal needs, health issues, and so on. The third component is self image. It talks about capacities, uh, um, potential, and confidence. And the fourth one is uh, component is autonomy, which is ultimate realization of empowerment. For women, empowerment is the restructuring of the gender relations both within the family and society at large. If we see in our traditional societies, my dear friends, women have a lot of restrictions like they are not properly educated. Even if we see in terms of education, we also find discrimination. Like, let me share my own example. I'm born in 1970s, late 1970s. My sister, elder and younger, is hardly 2 years older than me, like above and below. My parents have admitted them into the government schools in Telugu medium, whereas coming to both the children, male child, they have joined them in the English medium, thinking that they will have a bright future, they will take care of us, and so on, my dear friends. Even in terms of quality of life, everything, my dear friends, we find discrimination compared with the male counterpart, my dear friends. So our duty is to change the mindset of the family members where they are going to treat both the male child and the girl child in the same manner, my dear friends. So it has to come from the family and at society at large, also, my dear friends. You must have seen a movie called Dangal. In that, the father wants to be a wrestler. He has gone to the national level, but he could not. So he wants to turn his both the children to be the wrestlers like. So he one fine day he asked the children like, "I'm going to train you wrestling, and you have to bring the gold for our nation." And the next day he has cut down the hair. The mother was not happy. The society was not happy because he was putting on the shorts for the child, and all the people were saying that your children are behaving just like a boy, and so on like. And to make them stronger, he thought that vegetarian does not work. So he went to a chicken shop. He was economically downtrodden. He convinced the person and he brought the meat for lower price. Actually, he was a vegetarian. His family was a vegetarian, but he encouraged the child to eat non-veg so that they become powerful. So he was going against the customs and traditions which are there. And later on, you can see that both the daughters were national players and they also won the glories for our nation, my dear friends. So it has to come within the family if you want to change and if you want to empower the women. And at large, my dear friends, even the society also has to recognize that women are equal or compared with the equal to the male, and our duty is to also allow them to prosper in life and provide them the opportunities for them. Equitable access to resources, power, and decision making is of paramount importance in empowerment of women. And when Gandhiji was there, under his leadership, he tried to play a vital role in the freedom movement. He encouraged the women from all walks of life to take part in the freedom struggle, my dear friends. This way, he tried to motivate people. He want to make them a part of the freedom struggle, my dear friends, which will also boost their morale and where the people will also try to utilize their rights, employment, and whatnot, my dear friends. Now, let us discuss about political empowerment of women. Political empowerment of women. In the According to the document on women's development in the year 1985, women's role in political structure had virtually remained unchanged despite the rapid growth of informal political activity by them. The political participation has been severely affected by traditional factors such as caste, religion, feudal society, family status, and so on. Even in the 11th Lok Sabha, the women selected by various parties to contest the election is insignificant. Um, the constitutional 73rd and 74th Amendment Act in the year 1992 has reserved one third of the seats for women at the local bodies or in the Panchayat Raj institutions and municipal bodies, which is a major landmark in the political empowerment of women. This not only provide them a greater opportunity to express their grievances and social economical problems in a formal forum. A political process is necessary to ensure the improvement for all the women in all spheres of life, my dear friends. And recently, in um, the previous government, has also passed a law in the parliament saying that they are going to provide 1/3 of reservation for the women even in the parliament elections, my dear friends. May not be from 2024, but by the next time when we are going to have politics or elections, my dear friends, maybe I'm hoping that it will be implemented, my dear friends. The political empowerment of women has made considerably strides, with 2.8% of women being represented in the first parliament in the year 1950 to 57 to 7.2% in the 10th Lok Sabha to 15.5% by the year 1991, my dear friends. And right now you can see plenty of women are taking part in the politics. If any political party is not going to give a ticket, we have also seen that some women are contesting independently also, my dear friends. But in spite of all these efforts, we're also having certain causes for low profile of women in politics. The first one is distinct sex of women. Second one is numerical minority status, character of larger state economic system, political conservatism, lack of leadership quality, attitude of political parties, disillusionment with the functioning of democracy. These are the few causes. These are the few causes which are going to be for low profile of women in politics, my dear friends. So here, when we talk about this in detail, the distinctive sex roles of women, because the woman can be a prospective mother, and she has to take care of the family, household activities. She has to give birth to the children, take care of the children, and in some senses, they say that the functions render the people. In order to become political leader, they have to travel, they have to interact with the people. So obviously, because the women are weak, they will not be suitable for this. So they think that their ability to participate in public life, even if they were to have a political ambition all over the world, may be low, and they try to curb that, saying that they are economically, sorry, they are physically weaker compared with the men. And if we see even the male female ratio, when you talk about numerical minority, the male female ratio, we can see a difference. Per every 1,000 male, there is a decreasing number of female, my dear friends. If we see in the year 1991, if you see during 1901, it was 972, which was further decreased to 927 by the year 1991. So you can see huge disparities between the male and female, which is also one of the reasons for the low participation of women. And constants of socio-economical system, and then political, because people think that women socio-economical status influence their political status. Uh, the political parties hardly choose because they're not in a position to take part because of low literacy level, low ability, inaccessibility information, and low political awareness, low political consciousness. So because they're not in a position to, if you see the in the earlier government, the finance minister, she did not contest in politics. Even though she was a powerful lady, she said that I do not have sufficient finances to contest in politics. Nowadays, politics have become a costly affair. So I'm going to withdraw, or I'm going to stay away from contesting this 2024 Lok Sabha elections. That was the statement made by the finance minister. Remember that. So here, because of she has awareness, she's having political consciousness, she has the ability. In spite of that, she did not contest in politics for some of the other reasons, my dear friends. So we have conservatism thinking that the male is aware, they have the information, they have high literacy level, they can dominate everything, and so on, my dear friends, making the people to stay away from politics. And lack of leadership quality. People think that the men have leadership qualities and women lack this, because India or the entire world, almost the entire world, is a patriarchal system, and the socio-economical constant prevent women from accepting the leadership roles. However, during the year 1992, in the 73rd and 74th Amendment of the Indian Constitution, 1/3 of posts have been reserved for the local bodies, my dear friends. And even the political parties also does not wish to bring the women into the limelight, my dear friends. Except few political parties, my dear friends, most of them have put them aside. Except in some states, just like बहुjan Samaj Party, we have Mayawati, and then who acted as the chief minister of UP. Then Lakshmi Parvati was a president of Telugu Desam Party when after the demise of N.T. Ramarao, TDP political leader, and so on, my dear friends. Even the attitudes of the people, because they think that we have to work on the women leadership and so on. Under certain conditions, only few people came, whereas the rest of the people could not enjoy the fruits, my dear friends. So, in this lesson, my dear friends, in this lesson, we try to understand the word politics, the word power, and we also try to study about the role of women in various dimensions, my dear friends. Guys, if you have any doubts, you are free to ask, my dear friends. If you do not have any doubts, then we will conclude the lecture, my dear friends. Okay, have a nice day, guys.